Hi.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You're now tuned in to the #1 financial literacy podcast in the world.
I like how you look at me when you say that because you're looking for affirmation.
Yeah.
You did good today, Saied.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Well, what Saied neglected to tell you was that today's a special day. I wore sandals, Havaianas actually, because I knew that it would offend Said's constitution during the show.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you hear him stuttering or stammering at all, it's because he's lost in the sexiness that is my barefoot and the type of sandal that he hates the most.
You just knew you couldn't compete tonight. That's all.
Yeah, Travis Scott's are fire.
Fire.
If they're real anyway.
Wow.
All right. So this week, the U.S. will face a mild recession, but the risk of a hard landing, a.k.a. a hardy, is currently low, according to Bank of America's chief economist. Now we know where Brian Moynihan gets his bad advice.
Right. This is the guy that has his ear.
Yeah. This is the guy that Brian's been listening to and be getting all sorts of bad information.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian.
Is he giving them hardies or softies or what is he doing?
Hardy's only, apparently.
Got it.
Yeah. As far as his predictions go.
Obviously.
Softies for the economy.
Obviously.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
We're going to move on from there and talk about home prices falling, and we've got some beautiful, sexy fucking charts. And if you're going to check out an article that we talk about this week, this is probably the one. I think it's a really fascinating read, and it talks about the timeline of home values over the last several years. And it dispels a lot of the rumors that you're seeing on social media that are become prolific. Anytime somebody talks about real estate values, every realtor will repost it as the most amazing thing. It's gospel. It doesn't matter who said it.
Right.
If it's positive, they're reposting. This gives you facts, and the facts are powerful.
Facts.
Facts.
Bars.
No cap.
No cabs.
No printer.
What?
Your Riz is light tonight, brother.
What? No.
Come on, King.
Come on.
We'll talk about jobless claims increasing more than expected to their highest since October of 2021. U.S. consumer credit accelerates. It's growing in April to its fastest pace in 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Little something I like to call, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And a shortage of houses is hitting some people and areas harder than others.
Yeah, we'll tie that in.
We should tie that into the previous article. Bad work on us preparing.
Yeah, us?
In advance. I mean Arun.
You said it.
The royal.
You said
the
it.
royalist. I did.
You set him up though.
I said
he's such a villain. Said's
he did.
such a villain.
He
says us ?
Yeah. It was a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, he got
He's
you.
like, you're gonna say this.
Weak ass hoe.
These are not the
Wow.
Weak ass hoe. Wow.
That was aggressive.
Coming in hot. Did you have a protein bar or something?
Yeah, low carb today?
You hangry?
Yeah.
I've been fasting. We should talk about that. It's been inadvertent fasting, but fasting nonetheless.
Yeah.
It is not work. I'm gaining weight. I'm the only person who can eat less and gain weight.
What happened?
I don't know.
I thought you were supposed to get lean on this.
We're going to talk about the mansion tax. It was supposed to bring in $56 million monthly. It took in a lot less than that. Spoiler alert, it is not $56 million.
Yeah.
We'll talk about an Apple review, which we thought was very nice, caring, caressing, if you will, soft and delicate. I felt loved by it.
It was sincere. It was genuine.
That's all the SAT vocabulary we know.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, we'll end the show on a very heartwarming story about Said's eldest son.
Only son.
Eldest, too.
It's factual.
It's factual.
Yeah.
Making the first shot of his career.
The
first shot of his career.
It was, man, I can't even put it into words.
Yeah. Many more to come. The man is clearly an athlete. So.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's somebody else's height, though.
Yeah.
What?
Right now, it's obvious he didn't get his height from me.
Really?
Yeah, he's in the 85th percentile. So
Still, wow.
Yeah, he didn't get it from me.
My son's fluctuated. He's now back in like the low 90%. No,
yeah.
Which is crazy, but it's not funny because my wife is so tall. It's not so tall. She's 5'4". How tall is Hawa?
Hawa is 5'7".
Is she really 5'7"?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
With shoes, probably 5'6", but without shoes. But yeah, she's 5'7".
Okay, you can't quote height with shoes.
What do you mean?
That's just fundamental disconnect. You can't do that.
I always add 2 inches for myself, though.
I'm not taking the bait on that.
Oh,
no. No, I'm not.
What?
You want
I
to
thought
know
you were
why?
trying to keep it clean, Said.
Yeah, I thought you were.
What happened?
See, look.
I don't.
This is why you get labeled
thoroughly
with bad
confused.
things. This is why people on social media now are attacking you, calling the villain. I got to chime in and defend you now all the time.
Thoroughly confused. I have no idea what's going on.
You have no idea what's going on. None at all.
None.
Why are you squinting like that?
I'm trying to see what article we're bringing up. Oh, that's right.
Maybe you should wear some glasses. Somebody asked me in the DMs today. I've been getting a lot of like really messed up DMs. Said, hey man, do you wear glasses because you've got like Jack Nicholson eyebrows?
They're coming for your eyebrows.
Coming for my eyebrows. My eyebrows are a very sensitive topic. Apparently.
I tried to tell you a while ago.
To what?
That your eyebrows.
What's wrong with my eyebrows?
Yeah, that you thought they were your number one attribute, and that they weren't.
I just thought they were very compelling.
Compelling?
Yeah, I mean, you know when my eyebrows go up.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, you do a lot of facial expressions. You use your eyebrows a lot.
I know. I got to do the Botox thing again, so hopefully it tames me.
How
Yeah.
often do you got to do that?
Yeah, every like 5-6 months. Everybody's body metabolizes Botox a little differently.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it painful?
No, I mean, needle going in your head doesn't feel like great, but it's not terribly painful. Think about getting it done?
Never.
Never.
I'll say this.
Your eyes twitching at me again, bro. What's going on with you?
I was eyes twitching.
The left one's twitching.
We were standing outside a restaurant today. Adam graduated from first grade today.
Congratulations, Adam.
Big deal. And so we take him out to his favorite restaurant. He wants to go to BJ's, right? Don't do that.
Don't do what?
You're a terrible person.
I just shook my head, man.
Yeah. And we're standing outside, and the sun's hitting my face, and I'm telling how a story. I can't even remember what we're talking about. And she literally says, "Aw," she reaches for my face, and she's like, "You have your first wrinkle." And it's right here on the side of my
Oh, no,
mouth.
you got it on both sides. Yeah, I could have told you that a while ago. Get crow's feet.
Wow.
No, I'm just helping you out, man. I'm being honest. You should get, like, Botox for that so it doesn't get worse.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean.
Come on, man. I'm not doing that. Just gotta own it.
You can own it all you want.
Yeah.
I know I look like shit, so I'm okay with it.
Come on.
All right, kids. I apologize for the recent detour. It's just really hard sometimes hosting a show with Saied, and I know that we're going to get into topics that are clearly above his head, and I got to carry the show.
Oh.
It's difficult. Arun, I mean, we talked about this before, without Saied here. It's lopsided, bro.
It is lopsided.
So the first article from Business Insider, so grain of salt, not a huge place we like to go for what I would call relevant media, but when you're making fun of Bank of America without knowing you're making fun of Bank of America, we've got to quote you.
Yeah, exactly.
So Brian Moynihan is Bank of America's CEO. And for those of you who haven't caught up with some of the earlier episodes this year, we took a couple lovely, friendly jabs at Mr. Moynihan.
Just a little bit.
He was talking about the consumer was incredibly strong and resilient, that he didn't see a recession.
We're a consumer bank.
We're a consumer bank now. They've tried to pivot from, I'd say, less of a consumer bank to really more of a focus on that because they want to differentiate themselves from their peers.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian has said some pretty dumbass stuff that seemed really tone deaf.
Technical term.
And if you're a multimillionaire making tens of millions of dollars a year, I don't know how much his salary is, or if you want to look that up, and you go into these conferences where you're talking about the state of the economy, and you say things like, oh, the consumer's got tons of savings. We just don't see this concern. $30 million. Bank of America CEO made $30 million. Good find, Arun. So he might be a little disconnected. Mm-hmm. We always wondered where that came from and why.
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to this Business Insider article, Bank of America predicts a mild recession. The softy is back. Yeah. Sees a low risk of a hard landing. So, to quote the article here, the U.S. economy is currently resilient. You know who else said that?
JP from the Hood.
Jerome Powell from the Hood. Is currently resilient, but will face a mild recession, Bank of America's Michael Gapen.
So I think it's important. It's important here to pause and describe what a mild recession even is.
Do you know?
Right? Yeah, it's unstable growth, where growth doesn't look optimistic. Maybe you have some one quarter and not so much the next quarter. Maybe it's stagnant. But that's basically what it is. And I was doing some research on this, and there was a little piece on The Guardian that I know also.
Yeah, I mean, not the world's greatest, but not bad either.
Not bad either, right? But what I really liked about this article that I found was they really dove into the concept of growth and how it's become used as a metaphor to represent prosperity. And we want all things to grow. We want our children to grow. We want our gardens to grow. And now growth in our economies becomes so commonplace that if there isn't any growth, then what's going on?
So this is the fallacy of the stock market that's bothered me for a number of years.
Right.
Is that in the stock market, you as a company are expected to grow and become more and more efficient every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the general overriding concept.
Right.
And I don't think that's a realistic expectation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that expectation has gotten even harsher for publicly traded institutions because we've had 14 years of very prosperous growth.
Right. And then on the flip side of that sword, they said, here's the other side of that metaphor of growth. It could also be cancerous. Right? You get married to this idea of growth. And as soon as there isn't any growth, like what's going to happen in Q2 or Q3 of this year when earnings don't come in?
Well, an earnings recession is going to happen.
And because there isn't any growth, people are going to overreact. Right?
Well, yeah, and that the problem with the markets too is they're very emotionally unstable in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So when they overreact, it's not so good. Arun just pulled this up. An earnings recession occurs when earnings have declined or negative earnings have grown for at least 2 consecutive quarters.
Mm-hmm.
According to Forbes, during an earnings recession, a majority of companies' profits declined year over year for 2 or more quarters in a row.
Right.
I think that's a very, very high probability for certain sectors, certainly,
Mm-hmm.
but for the entire market, probably not.
Probably not. But it also that could be true along with your previous prediction of it being a rolling recession.
Yeah, hitting different sectors at different times. Starting off with the banking and finance and fintech sectors.
Yeah.
And rolling, well, I shouldn't say in technology, not just fintech, and rolling into other sectors, particularly around the holidays. I think that's a real thing. I think you'll see airlines hit and travel hit.
Right.
And some interesting things happen. So to continue on with the Bank of America article, and then I do have an additional comment on the whole recessionary concept.
Mm-hmm.
The bank's chief economist said a labor market correction is needed for inflation to decline to the Fed's 2% target. And I heard that and I thought, that's dumb as shit.
Okay.
Would you like me to elaborate?
Yes, please do.
On the dumbassery we've just read?
Yeah. The bitch-assness?
Yeah, the bitch-assness. Okay, so for every recessionary economy, this is generally true, but certainly for the majority of them, this is 1,000% accurate, is unemployment typically reaches its peak after the end of the recession. Mild or not.
Yes.
That's usually what happens, okay? And the reason why is that all the things we do in monetary policy to combat a recessionary economy typically leads to lower wages, higher unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's just the natural byproduct of what happens.
Right. And right now, what the Fed has done and the tool they have used to tackle this has been raising the Fed funds interest rate up, right? And that's what they predict is going to cause unemployment to go up eventually.
And that's why there's such a heavy emphasis by the Fed whenever they talk about jobs, is they're using that as their indicator. Now, mind you, this is a very lagging indicator. Mm-hmm. So the dumbassery behind the statement is that the bank's chief economist said a labor market correction is needed for the inflation to decline to the Fed's 2% target rate. Mm-hmm. No shit. If you're calling for a recession, whether hard or soft, a mild recession, what they're predicting here,
right?
That's the natural probable consequence.
Yes.
Thank you for telling me something, Captain Obvious.
Yeah,
this happens every single time there's a recessionary economy. So, again, nothing valuable in that statement. And here's the next statement. This is a direct quote from the man himself, Michael Gapen, their chief economist. Unless bank stress gets worse and a credit crunch is revealed, it's harder to see where that hard landing risk is coming from, he said.
Right.
Okay. A credit crunch is already beginning in commercial office real estate. I know 2 offices in our area in an otherwise very prosperous economic major metropolitan MSA.
Yes.
Okay. That are already in talks with their tenants. The landlord of the building is in talks with the lender that gave them the loan.
Okay.
I should say not the tenants. To work on some kind of payment structure situation.
A restructuring of the deal, a modification of some sort?
Possibly, or something like that. I know 2 very prominent buildings in our area that I know it's happening.
I mean,
we read the article last week about L.A.
Yeah, I mean, if it can happen to, downtown L.A., which is, used as a benchmark for the health of, the real estate economy for Los Angeles, then why wouldn't it happen to where we are?
And keep in mind, too, L.A., man, the homeless problem's gotten so bad in L.A. and San Francisco. Like, I look at this and I think to myself, like, what are we doing? We've got to be smarter. There's got to be a better society-based solution for part of this problem.
I have no idea where you even begin to tackle that problem.
And I'm going to ask a stupid question, and I know this is going to sound terrible, and I don't mean to sound disconnected, but I legitimately don't know.
Okay.
Has the homeless problem always been bad, but we had better situations in place to help thwart some of this?
I think it's definitely gotten worse.
So why has it gotten worse? Is it because the cost of living is so expensive that people are forced into this?
Possibly.
I mean, some of these people have mental health issues. Some of these people
that's the thing, right?
have affordability issues, which is different to me.
Right. The first thing that I've heard, the number one argument that I've heard to help the problem, obviously would not cure the problem. The first thing would be rehabilitation, finding a way to get people into rehab, and understanding, because it costs more money to get one individual into rehab, which is why they don't do it.
Arun just pulled this up. Since 2020, California's overall homeless population has increased about 6% compared to just 0.4% in the rest of the country. Wow. A 17% increase in the homelessness but sheltered population accounts for almost all of California's change, while the more visible unsheltered population increased about 2%.
Right, and I don't know the statistics behind that, but I know that it's been proven that rehab and like therapy, those things will help, and they do help.
Yeah, but I've had a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot. I've had a fair amount of people around me who were addicts.
Yes.
Or had to go to some type of rehab of some type, way, shape, or form. They are never successful unless they want to go on their own accord. They have to want on their own. Otherwise, it's so difficult for them to overcome all of the trauma that they have to go through to get there.
But I mean, you don't know what percentage of the people out there don't know that they have access to it, right?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of these major downtown areas are going to continue to face challenges, particularly San Francisco and Los Angeles, if they can't get it under control.
Right.
It's getting to a point now where it's already hard enough to bring people back to work.
Yes. It's
already hard enough to deal with really expensive home prices, but now this is so forefront. People are leaving.
Yeah, but it's also really depressing for them, right? I don't know if people have actually seen this, but like to see somebody just like having a shouting match with himself is like, I don't know, it's traumatizing.
Don't come to my office most days, brother. I was literally cussing up a storm in my office myself today.
Yeah.
Today was one of the more difficult days in my job than most.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of like tertiary stuff happening that was just emotionally draining. Where you try as hard as you can to do the right thing and to do the best you can, and sometimes that just isn't enough. It's not about what you do. It's about somebody wanting something else than you.
Yeah. And
that's a very difficult realization. Sometimes it doesn't matter.
How do you even overcome something like that?
I think you just have to learn to tune it out. What's funny is with the show, it was with the little exposure that we've had and the little bit of notoriety that we have, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit.
Right.
We still have haters. Like, we still have people who like make comments and troll and stuff like that.
Right.
It's fine, but at the same time, like, can you imagine being like a celebrity?
Oh my gosh.
And like every time you do something, somebody's gonna comment. I mean, there's always somebody who's gonna find something negative, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible to me to think like, okay, like all this controversy and talk around you. Like, I don't know how some of these celebrities do it, dude.
Can't please everybody.
You can't, but at the same time, to have the confidence, or at least the visible appearance of confidence, to be able to post on social media. Like I look at someone like Jonah Hill, who was very pronounced on social media and decided he was going to pull back. He had mental health challenges, everything else. Doesn't want his weight being spoken about and all this stuff. And I think to myself, is he more normal for feeling that way? Or is he less normal for being in a job where he knew that was a repercussion? Keep in mind, he was a kid when he got into space.
That's right.
So, like, maybe you don't fully appreciate what this could be for you. And it's just like, he's an amazing actor.
Yeah.
But do you think studios will shy away from him now because they're concerned? If you're a studio, would you rather go with someone like Kevin Hart or The Rock, who seems to have it all under control?
Oh, you're talking about A-list, though. They're like top of the box office. I mean.
Yeah, but they're top of the box office because they do have this under control, and they've monetized the things that Jonah Hill's afraid of. Jonah Hill's afraid of social media because he thinks it's bad for his mental health.
Yeah.
But at the same time, The Rock and Kevin Hart monetize that as part of their deal.
Well, on the flip side of that, you look at someone like what's her name, Rebel Wilson.
Yeah.
Who like used to be overweight, and I think she lost a lot of weight. So now
there's a lot of people doing that in Hollywood right now. Ozempic, man, I'm telling you, it's all Ozempic. They're not saying it, but I know that's what it is.
Yes, no, but she lost it a long time ago before Ozempic got really popular. But you got to wonder like how many.
Yeah, she looks great. Arun just pulled the photos.
And how many roles does she not get anymore because she's no longer the same person that she was portraying or she was before?
Wow, look at those photos of her. She leaned out a lot. Her jaw structure got really sharp. Do you think that's surgery, or do you think that's all like natural? I think it could be natural.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt.
She looks great. Natural. I mean, look,
yeah.
I
not only her, Adele lost a ton of weight too.
Oh, also that was Mindy. What's her name?
Oh yeah, I saw her photo like
she
this
lost
past
a ton
weekend.
of yeah.
Yeah,
She lost a ton of weight.
everyone on that health kick.
Everyone. Like, we should probably try to find a way to get
Honestly,
on.
yeah. Get them on the show. What'd you do? Please give me some
Are there
advice.
any Ozempic sponsors out there?
Yeah. I know. Do you know a guy?
Every time my pump posts about like the hormones forum that they have,
Yeah.
I'm like, should I creep into this thing again?
Oh,
Should I get in there and be like, what's this Mod C stuff, bro?
I need. Once I get to your age, I'll probably start dabbling.
See, villain.
It's not
Villain stuff.
Hold on. What?
Oh, Sam Smith? Is that so? Wow, he lost a ton of weight.
See, that doesn't
Holy
even look healthy
shit.
though. That's a little.
No, he looks fine. It's just that's just a dramatic change.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, so much difference in the bone structure.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how you would look if you actually lost weight?
See, that's uncalled for.
That's called tit for tat.
Tit. So let's go back to the bank chief economist that said that the labor market needs a correction. So there's actually an article that came out today on this. So jobless claims totaled 261,000 for the week ending on June 3rd, an increase of 28,000 from the previous week. This has been the highest since October 2021.
Which is not high still. I mean, it's just the highest since then.
Not high, but this is one of the measures that the Fed likes to look at that comes out weekly that gives them, although the jobs report and jobs in general is a lagging indicator, this portion of it isn't, right?
CNBC article, for those of you. Saeed's really new to this gig, so he's just learning how to cite articles.
No. What I want is for them to go into the show notes and, or maybe
Find it.
maybe subscribe to the newsletter. Be like, oh,
Ooh, yeah, minor problem. I haven't sent that out in a while. Yeah.
come on, man.
It's not that I don't want to send it out. It's just that I feel like we need more people to sign up for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just in case you think like, oh, like he's not going to know how many people sign up for it. He won't know if I don't do it. I actually get an email anytime somebody signs up and it tells me their name.
Right. But the crazy part about ours is, which is different from everybody else's, is that you actually have to go onto the podcast and leave an honest 5-star review beforehand. Like, we get notified.
That felt forced.
Did it?
That felt really forced. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying.
I mean, you sounded like a lost puppy.
No, what?
Yeah, that was that. You was like, yeah, how do I weave this in? This is clearly difficult for you tonight.
Come on, man.
Is it my toes?
No, yeah, your toes.
Are you new to the show?
Did you,
Yeah. You know how the show works?
did you buff your toes too?
I did the shiny buff on my toenails, yeah.
Oh, man.
What?
It's impressive.
It's the best feeling. I don't know why. You don't like your feet being touched, do you?
No.
It's very weird.
It's weird for me not to want my feet touched.
Yeah, I only brought this up so I could segue back into you really having like a secret toe fetish and being very sexual about your toes.
Ay.
Fine.
So,
Go get a pedicure, man. I'm telling you, it's a life-changing experience. Very pampering.
so this jobless claims, right? This was a report that the Fed is definitely going to be looking at and eyeing before their upcoming meeting. So when this episode drops, I believe it'll be day 1 of the FOMC meeting, the 13th.
Oh, wow. It's coming up next week. Yeah, that's right.
Coming next week, yeah. So this episode dropped
They're
Tuesday.
going to hold, right? They're not going to increase.
No, they're going to hold. They're definitely going to hold.
They're gonna
But
hold.
if it were up to Larry Summers, this guy.
Larry Summers, man, I'm not a fan for a number of reasons, not the least of which is
He personally thinks the Fed's making a terrible mistake.
he's just so hyper-aggressive on this stuff.
Well, he's focusing back on what the Fed has said all along, that you guys said that you're more afraid of not tightening enough. So he said if you do pause this month, he would at least like for them to have it on the table for a 50 base
Next month, yeah.
next month in July. I'm like, damn, going from nothing to 50 basis points?
I mean, just cold-blooded, bro.
Crazy.
Keep in mind, prior to this particular interest rate increasing cycle,
Yeah.
the Fed had only increased 50 basis points or 25 basis points.
I mean, I would obviously say it if I had as much money as Larry Summers does in the bank.
how much money do you think he has in the bank?
He's got it. Come on.
You think he's got a lot?
Come on.
Why?
Somebody took care of him.
Somebody took care of him. Wow. Like who?
He's boys with Clinton, right?
Oh, God damn it. We're not doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Okay. All right.
Upon being nominated the Treasury Secretary by President Clinton in 1999, Summers listed assets of about $900,000 and debts, including a mortgage of $500,000.
Let me tell you right now.
By the time he returned into 2009 to serve the Obama administration, he reported a net worth between $17 and $39 million.
Yeah, I have a feeling like it's more than that. I feel like that is an underestimate.
That is a pretty significant uptick, Larry Summers.
Mr. Summers?
Wow.
Not hurting. So, yeah, if I had, his net worth is now highlighting $45 million.
Which came from what?
Yeah, where y'all getting this information from? This is why you can never trust Google with this stuff.
Yeah, if you look up my net worth, it says I'm worth like $5. It's not. It's so weird. It's so bizarre to me to think that, like, Google my net worth. Just Google my name and net worth.
Wait, he said it on that website. He pulled up his current salary is $4 million. Who's he working for?
I have no idea.
Wow,
$4 million salary. That's
Anyways, if I had that much money, yeah.
It says I'm worth at least $33,797.
Congrats, man.
As of June 7th, 2023. Oh, today. Okay, there you go. I'm worth less than my last Amex bill.
Guru Focus has got you, bro.
I know why.
Guru Focus.
I don't know why. It's terrible.
You've now turned into the thing that you hate the most. You're a guru.
I don't know why am I on that website?
Yeah. Jesus.
That is not good.
Not good, my
Arun,
friend.
why have you visited this site 2 times?
How do you know he's visited
It
two
says
times?
in the bottom line, you visited the site 2 times. Last visit.
Oh, he's looked up your net worth.
Wow, what a
dude.
piece of shit you are, bro.
It's
Yeah.
the site. Oh, no, it says the page. Huh? Why am I on this?
I don't know. It's very awkward
That's
for all of us.
hilarious.
That's not good.
Well, technically, this is your computer. And
No.
with
I'm
your
not logged into
account.
any of my accounts here, dude.
Yeah.
Although my picture is in the top right, so maybe that is mine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you checking up yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that at all.
Yeah.
I stopped doing it whenever Google started classifying me as a musical artist.
So, you briefly touched on the fact that you think that we both actually believe that the Fed's going to pause at this next FOMC
I do believe
meeting.
they're going to pause, yeah.
And whether that's the right move or not,
I believe a pause is cooked into the market.
and it's
So-
warranted. I think it's warranted.
Yeah, I do too.
After 10 consecutive rate hikes since, I believe, March of 2022.
Yep.
They're now, remember, up until now, they've continued to say, we want to be data dependent. We want, focus on my Obama hands. They want to be data dependent. But now they're starting to look at a wait and see approach. But here's the problem with that. If you're going to start claiming a wait and see approach, you can't just pause for 1 month and then hike it again in July. That's my issue with it.
Well, there's no saying that they will, but if Larry Summers had his way,
I'm pretty sure that they are, dude.
yeah, they're pretty sure they're going to hike in July.
Yeah, I've already. That's my prediction. At least 25 basis points.
I thought the banking contagion shtick was going to be the catalyst for this next recessionary economy, but I think that's probably wrong.
Unless something happens. Look, right. Credit came out, right? Consumer credit. That ticked up again. That's headed.
We have an article on that, don't we?
That's headed in the wrong direction. Yeah, I got it right here. I got some of the data. Consumer credit growth accelerates in April to its fastest pace in 5 months.
What's the article? There you go.
There you go.
By
From
Market Watch, titled U.S. Consumer Credit Growth Accelerates in April to Fastest Pace in 5 months.
Total consumer credit rose $23 billion in April, up from a revised $22.8 billion the prior month. Revolving credit such as credit cards rose 13.2% in April, slightly less than the 14.6% it gained the prior month. Right? So what a lot of people actually think.
That's a problem, dude.
That's a big problem.
That's a
right?
big problem.
So unless some data comes out over the next month and a half before the next FOMC meeting in July. Let me see. When is that? I have it written here too.
It's
July,
gonna be
end of the month. July
end of the month,
25th, 26th. Right? So the next month and a half, right?
It's about 45 days afterward.
Yeah. Then that's not enough time for the wait and see approach. So unless something changes drastically, where something breaks, but if they pause, I don't see anything breaking. If anything, they're going to pause. People are going to celebrate. You're going to see people become bullish.
There was already an article that came out today about how the market's returned to a bull market.
So what's that going to do? If anything, that right there is going to give the Fed enough ammo to say, no. We're not having this.
Maybe.
And that right there is going to be, in my opinion, is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
That's racist.
What?
Camels? Come on, man.
What about it?
I'm Middle Eastern. You're Asian.
It's a very common
that's
figure
hurtful.
of speech, dude.
It's a common figure of speech to racist people, sure.
Come on, man. There's camels in Afghanistan.
I don't think so.
Come on.
No.
Please let there be camels in Afghanistan.
They're not camels in Afghanistan, bro.
Come on, bro.
You guys got mountains.
Remember that episode? For the love of God, please look it up.
A bacterian camel?
There you go.
What does it say?
Some would say the most beautiful camel.
There's a room laughing in the background. That is an ugly ass camel.
Wow, bro, that's disrespectful.
Bactrian camel? That's the native Afghan camel?
The native? Bro, it's not like the national animal. Like, calm down.
It's native to the country, right? Bactrian camel. Camelus
also known as the Mongolian camel.
Yeah, that makes sense. Asian. And domestic Bactrian camel is a large, even-toed ungulate native to the slope steppes of Central Asia. It has 2 humps on its back in contrast to the single-humped dromedary. These are very weird words. Its population of 2 million exists mainly in the domesticated form. Their name comes from the ancient history region of Bactria.
That's a whole lot there.
That's arguably Mongolia, which is not Afghanistan.
But they've traveled through Afghanistan.
I think Arun was throwing you a freebie there. I appreciate you, Arun, trying to support him.
I try.
Yeah, it was good. There was nothing that said Afghanistan there.
Anyways, I think that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Twice?
Twice.
You couldn't use a different metaphor?
Doubling down for
And he stuttered.
Wait,
yeah.
No, I'm doubling down for the double hump.
Bro.
Okay? So, because what I think is we know based on I believe the world interest rate probability,
WERP
from Bloomberg, and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange have priced in at least 1 rate cut by September.
Of this year?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
They priced in 2 by the end of the year.
That's not going to happen.
So from what I can remember.
There is no world where we cut rates this year. They've said they're not going to cut rates this year.
And by the way, these projections, man, they swing quick. On any release of any report, it'll swing it to where it'll go from 25% probability to
they haven't typically moved that fast, right? Like
I know.
This is that's how much uncertainty is in the market that any type of data that could be controversial is swinging the probabilities so far left and right that it's becoming almost impossible to predict.
Which is what's most frustrating for me, because usually what is the market like? The market likes certainty. They like stability.
Yeah, you're not getting that.
If there's any uncertainty, I don't understand how the market is even still bullish. Like it had a great week this week.
Oh yeah, the market had a great week this week. Because that's behavioral economics, man. People want to find the positivity. They want to believe that they're baking in the Fed holding rates.
Yes.
And that they believe that's going to be a sign for a pop in the stock market. So they're buying ahead of this perceived pop because they want that upside value. And then they'll sell, causing it to dip again shortly thereafter.
Right. So
it's this weird, like almost parasitic cycle of like good news, bad news prediction. And that's why so much of this can be gambling. People who invest for the long term, the Warren Buffetts of the world, they're really investing.
Right.
People who invest in the short term, try to get those like little pops, peaks and valleys, you're gambling for the most part. There's exceptions, of course.
So I think that when the Fed, or if the Fed, let's say, does do another rate hike in July, that'll go completely against what all the pricing that has been baked into the market. That'll break expectations. I think they'll foreshadow a possibility of additional increases in the June meeting minutes. Not only the minutes, they'll also produce the summary of economic projections. So the SEP. Yeah. So once that comes out, I feel like because the expectations I think are directly tied to the 10-year Treasury. Once the expectations go out the window, I think we're going to start to see that inverted yield curve start to turn the other way. So let's talk about that a little bit, because we didn't talk a whole lot, and I apologize for clearing my throat right into the mic. Yeah, but Daddy's had a rough day on his throat. You can hear it a little bit, right? I'm hoarse. Right. Why? Because I was talking a lot, Saied. Were you? I know it's difficult. You were shouting. You were shouting. No, I wasn't. I was having a conversation with myself in my room in private. Got it. My office, which is a room. Right. A very big one. A very big one. Yeah. No longer a corner one. No, it's not. I hate the office, to be honest with you. But not being in the office, just that particular office. Man, this guy's backpedaling. Yeah, I'm having a moment. So we have seen a lot of response in the economy to the Fed increasing the Fed funds target rate. This rate is the cost for banks to borrow money. And it also is pretty indicative of deposit rates rising.
So what we've seen is banks increase their deposit rates to you, the consumer, every single time there's a Fed interest rate increase. Not all banks have moved up pari passu or in line with 25 basis points every time the Fed funds target rate's gone up 25 or 50 or 75 basis points.
Right.
But you've seen them move up deposit rates to try to keep deposits unless they're one of the globally systematic important banks. And even they are getting upward pressure on their rates.
Right.
I'm seeing stuff from Chase and Wells and B of A north of 4% now, and before they were trying to really hold down below 4. So there is upward pressure on everybody else.
Right.
Banks always try to weigh, okay, well, we can raise deposits or we can borrow from the Federal Home Loan Bank, which we talked about in the last episode. And they try to say, okay, what's the cost of borrowing the Federal Home Loan Bank? Well, if it's $525 or $530, then I got to make sure that my offer to the consumer for deposit pricing is less than that because it would be cheaper for me to borrow in this version versus raise deposits by going out to you, the consumer.
Yes.
This has been top of mind to everybody else, and everybody's experienced this. But what they're not seeing is that loan rates are not necessarily influenced by the Fed funds borrowing rate.
Right.
They are influenced largely by the treasuries. And the treasuries, as Saied alluded to, have been inverted for a very long time. This is actually, I think, I don't want to mess up the quote here, but I want to say it's the most inverted the yield curve has been, the difference between the 3-year treasury and the 10-year treasury, since 1981.
And what that basically means is it costs more to borrow money for the short period than it does for the long period.
Yes. So it's more to borrow from, in this case, the 3 months,
and that's
than it is to borrow for 10 years.
And the only reason for that is because there's so much uncertainty for the short term.
Yes. So they just charge you more. But what this really means for you, the consumer, is at some point in time, this inversion, which typically precedes a recessionary economy, we've said many, many times on the show, will come out of its inversion. The 10-year will rise. It'll start to cost more to borrow funds for 3 years, and more to borrow funds for 5 years, and more to borrow for 7, and more to borrow for 10. As that happens, it will put upward pressure on mortgage rates and borrowing rates for loans. And when that happens, it's going to cost us, the consumer, more money to get home loans, to get car loans.
Right. And here's
all those things that are in the economy that are already moving up as far as dollar amounts go anyway.
Right. And here's another issue with the upcoming pause and potential rate hike in July, or let's just say if it's in September. Okay? Right now, banks aren't lending because it does not make sense for them to lend, because if they know there's going to be another rate increase, why would I? I'd rather save my capital and deploy that capital once rates, peak out.
So, and we're already seeing the concerns in the economy about, oh my God, what's going to happen when all these commercial real estate loans come due and the banks have to refinance?
It's like $1.5 trillion in the next 2 years.
It's a lot. And people are already worried that the rates they got at 3.25%, 3.5% are going to be hard for them to refinance at today's rates, which are still below 6% in some cases.
Yeah.
What are we going to do when the treasuries move up and those rates get 8% or 9%?
Right.
That's the part that's going to be really scary, because right now you can probably still make sense out of a lot of those deals. But when the yield curve gets out of the inversion and rates push up and there's upward pressure on mortgage rates,
right,
banks will now start making a ton of money as they start deploying more capital,
right,
making more.
And watch, banks are going to really get labeled the bad guy here, because you can already start to see the rhetoric going around that banks are going to tighten lending practices, and that's what's going to cause us to go into a recession.
Yep.
Right? And that's not the case. First of all, they've been throwing around the idea of banks needing to hold more capital. So
I believe some banks are going to be required to. I think the regulators are going to come out and say, hey, look, you bank have to hold more capital because you have X, Y, and Z issues.
So what does that mean? What does that mean as far as lending goes, so we can explain that?
Well, if you have to hold more capital, you have to hold more of your money on your balance sheet, right? For the worst case event scenario that something happens and you need it, like a run on deposits or whatever it might be, right?
Like what we saw with some of the banks.
So they're going to have to not make loans and keep that money internally.
And
right?
that's just regulation now.
Well, in their case, they're going to have earnings. The earnings go to capital, so it's their money, their profit that goes back to capital, not necessarily customer deposits. But that being said, earnings, liquidity, capital, they're all interrelated. So because of this, you have to be careful to kind of monitor all these things back and forth. But keep in mind, a bank's liquidity is not the same thing as your liquidity. Like the money you have in your bank is yours. The money they have in their bank is in part their money, and in part depositor money. That's why in the context of speaking about banks, when they talk about assets, they mean their loans. When they talk about liabilities, they mean your deposits. They owe you the money for the deposits. People owe them money for the loans they make.
Right. So now if they're not able to lend out as much money as before, or they know that there's going to be potential future rate hikes, then what's going to happen? They're not going to give out business loans. They're not going to give out as many home loans. They're not going to give out car loans. They're not going to extend like your credit. There'll probably be margin calls on some people's margin lines, right? So what does that ultimately do? That pulls money out of the market, and it just creates obviously less demand, less affordability overall, because we know demand without affordability
is not demand. Saied quoting me on my own goddamn show with you.
Well, you heard that, Odin? His own damn show.
My own goddamn show
with you.
You heard that, right? That came from within.
He tried real quick to like bring it back.
Oh, it used to be. I remember when it used to be our show.
Oh, you don't remember the episode where you first were a guest and I quoted that to you for the first time.
Oh, I see.
So you just don't. You like to ignore the evolution of how we got here.
Bro,
Yeah, everything BS before Saied doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Bro, he's
All right.
sinking. He's
Fair enough.
sinking quick.
Who's thinking quick? Me?
You, bro.
No, I'm just having like throat issues tonight, man. Don't do that. Don't be the villain. All right. Let's talk about home prices for a little bit before Saied gets down the perverted trail again.
Let's go.
I saw this Washington Post article, and I did not expect it to be so good. I think you should read it.
All right.
Are home prices falling? See it's like across the U.S. And I thought, okay, this is just like the Forbes article where it's going to give you these graphs and charts, and they're going to be not a whole lot of value. Theirs was valuable.
Okay.
And we're going to play a little chart game with Arun right now, and I'm going to have to do my best to articulate this to those who are listening to the show versus those who are watching it.
All right.
But in March of 2022, national home prices grew by nearly 20% year over year, just in 1 year in 2022.
Wow.
Much of the growth was in the West, but it wouldn't last. By March of 2023, home prices had fallen 13% in 13% of counties nationwide. In the West, nearly 7 in 10 counties experienced falling prices.
Yep.
And I think this is important because what it really does suggest is, if you look at the chart that Arun is now pulling up, which is the March of 2022 numbers, it's basically separated into 4 different quadrants.
Man,
the upper quadrant
really
is anything that
really sucks for us colorblind people.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm going to explain it, because I understand your pain.
Got it.
So the upper quadrant is anybody who gained 30% to 45%. The quadrant just below that is anybody who gained 15 to 30%. Below that, 0 to 15%. And below that is anybody who lost between 0 and 15% of their value.
Wow.
And as you go to the right, it goes to the home values in dollar amount. But that doesn't really matter. What really matters is where all these dots are. Are they in the top 3 quadrants or in the lower quadrant?
I feel like I'm always that guy on the bottom.
The one outlier. So really, in March of 2022, there was one county, across the country that lost value.
Yeah.
That's insane. The overwhelming majority was between 15 and 30%. There were some above 30% to 45%, and there was a healthy amount between 0 and 15%.
Right.
But the overwhelming majority of counties across the country gained between 15 and 30% in March of 2022. That is a phenomenal number. Now, Arun, go to the next chart, if you will. The next chart is March of 2023. And this is the same essential plot map, the same spectrum, 30 to 45% in growth, 15 to 30% in growth, 0 to 15% in growth, and 0 to negative 15% in growth.
Right.
In this case, all are below 15% in growth for March of 2023.
Yes.
And I would say while the majority are still between 0 and 15%, there is a massive amount that have fallen between 0 and negative 15% in home values.
Yeah, man. And I think the reasoning why it's still a majority, I don't even know how to estimate that. I'd say probably like 60% of the counties that are still above, in that 0 to 15% range, has to do with a supply shortage, right? Just people not needing to sell their home because they're trying to hold on to their rates, right? Right now, the supply of homes for sale in the U.S. is about half of what it was in 2019.
Yep. So it's hard for the data to adjust because nobody's selling,
Yes.
which I think in this particular recessionary economy, or whatever kind of economy you wanted to label it as, is going to be a very unique thing for the real estate market that we'll look back on and really try to do some analytics and understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because unlike prior economies, there's not enough transactional volume to move the needle.
Right.
Even if people wanted to sell lower or try to move things around. So it's artificially propping up values because there just isn't enough supply to meet the demand because people are holding on to it.
Right. Absolutely. So this article that I had pulled up, I can't remember where it was from. Sorry, I'm still new to this. Odin, can you scroll down a little bit?
You're new to what? The show?
The show right here from CNBC. The shortage of houses is hitting some people hard in areas harder than others. They gave.
You're new to talking about articles on the show. We do
bringing
this every single episode. I'm
bringing
very
up
confused.
articles as professional and as well as you do.
As
And that's
articulate.
why Chris said
Yeah.
it's his show.
Ooh, he's so sassy. Hey, Arun, what'd you work out today? I didn't get an alert.
Oh.
It's been a few days, actually.
Yes, it has been
Honestly,
a few days.
man, but you've been wearing your watch, and I'm proud of you for that.
It's still not good enough.
No, I'm not proud of him for that.
I am.
It's like adding salt to the wound in my mind.
Really.
It's I want you to know
He's
that
been-
I'm not working out.
He's been busy, man. He's got his backyard's almost done.
No excuses. If Chris can work out, I should be able to work out too.
See, there you go.
Odin, you can't say that stuff and then
There you
just
go.
be like, I didn't get to work out.
Bro, it was really hard for me to get a workout in today, but I got it in.
Dude, me
Did
too.
you?
Yeah, I got it in. I got about an hour in the gym.
Me
Nice.
too.
It was not without the sacrifice to get there, though. I left work late, got home late.
I either got to jump on a Mind Pump program that's like 3 or 4 days a week, or switch up my workouts.
I've been lifting like a bodybuilder split, but also lifting full body, but just taking it lighter on the things that I'm going to work out later in the week.
Yeah.
But I've only been getting in the gym like 3-4 days a week. At most.
Ideally for me, I love getting into the gym at least 5 days a week so that I can hit every muscle group at least twice.
I can't
Do that, right?
sacrifice
So I think I
time.
want to switch over to like a push-pull leg split, and
Just do a lot of squats, deadlifts, a lot of compound lifts, man. That's what I've been doing.
dude. So I did legs today. I'm worried about this weekend. I think I overdid
Why?
it because I just kept going. I didn't stop. I had a lot of time this
You
morning.
tell me all that ass, and you
This is
can't
all
push some
muscle. You
weight.
felt it.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying you're very bottom heavy. Like you can't.
So for the
You would think you would like leg day.
dude, for the first time ever, I've really started incorporating Bulgarian split squats.
The worst.
Oh my god!
Those things will fuck you up.
I swear to
People
God,
underestimate it because they see those girls at the gym like, oh, that little girl can do that. That's amazing. Like, oh, it should be easy. Nope.
fucked me up
Fuck you up.
because I don't know what it is, man. I overcompensate on one leg. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
You ever done walking lunges with like a barbell on your back?
No dumbbells, not barbell though.
Yeah. Either way, it doesn't matter. But walking
Yeah.
lunges, those will hurt you.
That'll get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah.
I used to do that all the time.
A real popular thing that's starting to go around now are those slant boards. Seen those?
Where you squat on them?
You not only squat on them, but you could do a standing like lunge and you keep it in place.
Oh yeah.
And it really got hyped over that knees over your toes guy.
Yeah. I'm not really big. Shenanigans.
No, man,
I know
this stuff's great.
I know there's some support behind it, but it's just like that's such a tiny incremental change for me that I'm just.
No, it makes it easier. It's no different. It's like no different than having Olympic weightlifting shoes. You know how the heels raised a little bit.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I'm just saying, like for me, the incremental benefit in having something like that, I'd rather just be able to just squat anyway.
Yeah.
And if that becomes like different, easier or harder, then maybe I'll look into something like that. But for right now, just stick to the fundamentals and lift.
Yeah.
Don't look for another tool.
Right. So back to the CNBC article.
Oh, you want to get back on point? Okay.
Back on point. So in this article, they're going to say the popular 30-year fixed mortgage rate hovered in the high 6% range in May. At that level, buyers with an annual income of $100,000, slightly above the national median, could afford a house with a maximum price of about $341,000. But just 39% of the homes for sale were listed at or below that price point in May, according to a new report Thursday from Realtor.com with the National Association of Realtors. So, man, if that's the majority of people and that's what they can afford, but only 39%, and then those homes are the ones that are getting still bought at over list, they can't compete.
In my area, and I know my area is a little bit unique, homes are selling wildly above list. I mean, numbers I still can't fully comprehend.
Dude, I showed you the house.
Yeah, the house in your area.
Yeah, literally across the street from me, sold for 125 grand above list.
I know. It's
It
shocking.
was on the market for less than a week.
It's shocking. I mean, I'm not.
I guess the thought of, look, just because the Fed decides to eventually stop raising rates doesn't mean that banks will stop raising rates.
Oh no, they're gonna keep raising rates over time. Once things stabilize, you're gonna see that yield curve's gonna come to the inversion. But
right,
I guess here's the problem is I know I tease you and Arun a lot because you guys have palazzos and I live in like a smaller, more
don't have a
moderate
palazzo, man.
moderate home. You guys live in these big, massive mansions.
You
And
got me the mansion.
I did not get you the mansion. You got yourself the mansion. I facilitated the acquisition of said mansion. Or
you
your
showed us.
European palazzo, whatever you want to call it. That being said, you know, we also live in I would say above average income areas.
Yes.
And as a result of that, I think that our markets are very different reacting than the way the rest of the country is reacting.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's easy for people to get lost in the sensationalism that you see a lot of people on social media talking about how home values aren't going down, blah,
Right.
blah.
We were talking to your sister in the Midwest,
Mm-hmm.
and she was saying she hasn't seen a whole lot of change.
No, she hasn't. And that's what's unique about this is typically speaking in my experience, and I know that someone's going to criticize this, recessionary economies usually affect the coast first
Mm-hmm.
and then go inward to the Midwest
Mm-hmm.
and then go the opposite way back to the coast when the values start going up again.
Right.
But I haven't seen that because especially the East Coast seems to be less impacted than the West Coast. But if you look at the previous charts that we talked about, one of the things you'll note is the West Coast had the majority of the rise.
Yes.
So it was the first to fall.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess logistically that kind of makes sense why we're seeing the West Coast be impacted first.
Yeah.
Because there was so much buffer there.
Right.
But the high-end neighborhoods, the high-end homes, they're still moving units and they're still selling above list. So it's really interesting to see how schizophrenic the market is right now. And I thought so. Saied pulled up this article. I saw it earlier, and I didn't include it in the show notes, so I'm glad you did. It's from The Real Deal, and it talks about how the mansion tax, which in Los Angeles
Mm-hmm.
was supposed to be a pretty big deal.
Right.
Los Angeles controversial mansion tax, transfer tax, was expected to generate an average of $56 million per month. In its first month, Measure ULA, is that what it's called? Is that the
Yeah.
official name?
Yeah.
Took in $3.6 million, obviously a lot less than $56 million. The so-called mansion tax, which went into effect April 1st, adds a 4% tax on real estate transactions of more than $5 million and a 5.5% tax on transactions over $10 million.
Right.
The measure was expected to generate $672 million in the first year to support affordable housing and homeless programs like we kicked off the show talking about. But supporters of the new tax weren't surprised the first month's receipts weren't tracking with annual estimates. So there's two parts of this I think that are important to understand. Number one,
Yep.
there was a shit ton of activity in Los Angeles for people who were wealthy, who were afraid of this. They got good advice from their CPAs and tax consultants, and they got out in front of it. So a lull in activity was to be expected.
What could they have done to get out in front of it?
They could just sold their house before this took into effect.
Oh, okay.
And there was a mass rush to people who were selling houses or buying houses to do it before this went into effect.
Okay.
I will also say the other part of this is something like we've seen in Florida. Florida has similar document transfer taxes on title,
Okay.
which can be very costly there, relatively costly in Florida. So what people can and often do, and I expect we'll see in Los Angeles, is if you own a big mansion in Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
you don't own it under your name. You
Okay.
usually own it under a trust or an LLC,
Okay.
right? And you can do that for privacy reasons. You can do that for tax reasons. But I would say a lot of wealthy people own them in LLCs.
Yeah.
Here's what you're going to start seeing happen. I'm going to have an LLC. And let's say I live at 567 Bundy Drive. My LLC will be called 567 Bundy Drive LLC.
Yes.
And guess what I'll do? When I want to sell the house to you, the buyer,
Yeah.
I'll sell you my LLC. I'm not going to sell you the house.
Mm-hmm.
So the title stays in the name of 567 Bundy Drive LLC.
Right.
You become the new owner of the LLC when I sell you the house.
Right.
We'll still get an appraisal. You'll still get it financed.
Okay.
But I'll transfer the ownership in the LLC to you. And now, guess what? My incentive to you to buy my house is you don't have to pay a document transfer tax.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's definitely a loophole. Now, are there certain counties where it'll trigger a reassessment if the ownership of the LLC changes?
No, well, this is only Los Angeles County for right now.
We're only talking. Okay, yeah.
But as a matter of fact, there's no real way for them to track that. And honestly, how do you tax it? Let's say I transferred my LLC to a different individual, or let's say I transferred it to a different entity for management reasons. I mean, how do you tell?
Right.
You know, it's very difficult, and that becomes somewhat into like this field of like gray and
So
black
then
and white.
they would be assuming the loan.
No, there's a couple different ways you can do this. Number one, you can find a lender, like a community regional bank lender, or maybe a non-bank lender that says, "Hey, as long as you're the owner of the LLC, contemporaneous with close,
Right.
we don't care how you do this. It'll look like a refinance as far as they're concerned, or a delayed purchase, what they call it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're very uber wealthy, you pull a line of credit, a margin line of credit off your stocks or your bonds or other real estate. You buy it in cash.
I mean, we are talking about the mansion tax.
Right. You buy it in cash. You close the deal. Then you refinance it and pull your money out later on and pay down the debt that you borrowed in order to buy it or replenish your cash. People don't understand this game on a multi-million-dollar level. It's not like, hey, you, LeBron James, are going to go buy this house and you're just going to get wild with your money.
You, LeBron James.
Yeah, you, LeBron James. You have tax consultants. You have attorneys. You have people that are going to facilitate this transaction and structure it for you.
Yeah.
You just say, I want that house, and they find a way to do it in the best economically viable path for them.
Yes.
People often overlook this. There's a lot of professionals who make money on these people, and their job is to make sure that you, LeBron James, or you, the person they represent, get the best deal possible.
Right. Got it. Mansion tax.
Mansion tax.
$3.6 million. That's
Tax that ass.
they do, man.
I honestly, when I first heard this, I was like, this is ridiculous. This, in my mind, this was like California politics playing out in a way that was so ridiculous. Because the first thing I thought of is if you're sophisticated enough to own a mansion,
Yeah.
generally speaking, you got somebody advising you, or you yourself are financially,
Savvy enough.
savvy enough to go, okay, there's an easy way to fix this.
Absolutely.
And it's stunning to me. It's absolutely stunning to me that they got this far along. It was passed into law, and they expected to make $56 million a month, and it made $3.6 million. I don't think you're going to make anywhere near the money they thought they were going to make. Is it going to pick up from $3.6 million? Yeah, probably. But keep in mind, too, as it becomes more and more known how to circumvent this, they're going to make less and less money, too.
You know what else is really stunning? My boy making his first basketball shot.
First basketball shot in a game.
In a game, man. It's
This is the team you coach, right?
Assistant coach. Yes.
Oh, you're an assistant coach?
I'm assistant coach.
I thought you were the coach.
No. Assistant coach.
I feel lied to right now.
No. Assistant coach. But guess the head coach and another assistant coach are two of my high school teammates.
Okay.
And I hadn't.
Hold on. How many assistant coaches does the kids' basketball team need?
No, I mean, the more the merrier. I mean, look, you need, when you're coaching these kids, especially at this age, the more bodies, the better, right? So you
wrangle them all in. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, wrangle them all in, or take 2 or 3 aside to teach them.
And how did the two guys you played basketball with in high school? Did they contact you? You contact them?
No, so I ran into the head coach at a clinic. I had Adam only in basketball clinics. I didn't think he was ready yet. I mean, he wasn't even like 6 months ago. He wasn't even strong enough to shoot it up on a 10-foot rim.
Oh, he made a basket on a 10-foot rim?
Yeah, man, they're playing on 10-foot rims.
Oh, that's impressive.
So that there's more to that story too. So I didn't know. I thought the youth size ball was 28.5.
The girl size.
Girl size.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. I didn't know that was the girl size. I just thought 28.5 was youth size. So that's the ball I had him shooting with at home. I didn't know that youth size is 27.5. So the second I got him on the 27.5 ball, next thing I know, he's throwing it up there. So I had him training.
I don't know that I've ever seen a 27.5 basketball.
Yeah, you have. It's slightly smaller than the really small one that they have you shoot at like little carnivals. I mean, slightly bigger than that. But it's.
I don't go to carnivals, bro.
I mean, you've gone to before.
I don't like going to carnivals.
No, you work at the carnival.
That's insulting.
Yeah, you used to be the hairy guy that would come out, and then now it was too traumatizing, so you had to get rid of it all.
Yep, Saied,
Yep.
once again, cements his position as the villain, saying messed up shit.
Messed up shit. So, anyway, so I ran into him at a clinic, and he's like, "Hey, like I'm thinking about starting this team. Why don't you bring boy along? And if this all works out well, we'll keep these boys together for like the next however many years, and this will be like their team that they can continue to grow with." I'm like, "Okay, great." So I joined the team, and next thing I know, another guy's on there, and we all kind of grew up playing together back in high school. We go and we play. Mind you, I didn't know this. So his boy and my boy are the same age. And he says they're going into second grade. Currently, they were in first grade at the time. He enrolled us in second, third grade. So we're playing our boys up. And it's like,
that's good for them, though.
Yeah.
A little rough and tumble.
His analogy, sink or swim. Figure it out.
Or traumatized.
or try. And I was very afraid of that. And Adam is, generally speaking, taller, bigger than most kids his age. Like I said, he was in the 85th percentile. Let me tell you, man, he got on this team, he couldn't look more average. Okay? Like, every kid looks large, right? So we start playing, and it becomes apparent really quickly that a lot of these kids have been playing for years, and they've been in leagues for years. Adam hasn't even been on the team yet. He's just been going to clinics and kind of just messing around, you know? So he gets in the game. We're able to build up game number 1. We're able to build up the lead to like 6 points, okay, with a minute and a half left. We pull him in. I throw him in there at the end of the game. Like, he plays like just mandatory minutes that they have to play throughout the game. But the fourth quarter is free game. You can play whoever you want, right? Any substitutions, whatever. So we had him benched to build, and we got him build up the lead because other kids on the team are bigger, stronger, they play longer. So at the end of the day, we're trying to get him to win, and I personally think it's good for him, so that it could give him some type of motivation. Like, okay, if you want to get minutes, you got to get better. We throw him in with a minute and a half left. Star player on the team comes down, misses a layup, and Adam's just right there, grabs the board, and just without hesitation, he just throws it back up, and it goes in. And you see he gets shocked. He's stunned. He's looking around like, I can't believe what just happened. Yeah, it was the coolest feeling. And I myself had told myself, I don't know when Adam's going to make his first basket, but I'm going to be controlled. Something came over me, man. I couldn't help it. I run across the floor, and I see him. We make eye contact, and he's just stunned, like he couldn't believe it. And it was an awesome experience.
Saied starts yelling at him, "Get back on defense!"
Yeah, seriously, get back, pick up your man. So it was really, really cool, really, really cool. And for that to come full circle too, to it to be on some of my high school teammates' team and their coaching, like that's really sweet.
Talk shit to the teammates afterward.
The problem is, dude, and then here's the thing that I didn't like about it though. Adam's ego's already through the roof. Adam, my son, not Adam from Mind Pump. No, I didn't say that.
A little bit.
No. So his ego's already kind of through the roof. So when he made a basket on game 1, you should have seen the level of arrogance this kid had in the car. Made a basket. Let's go get some ice cream. I deserve a milkshake.
You took him to get ice cream, though, didn't you?
No, man.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
Got him a milkshake.
There you go. Well, I'm glad. Look, my son has no interest in playing at the moment. We try to take him to basketball practice, and all he wants to do is sit on my lap and pick flowers.
You know what happened for us, actually? I introduced him to the game. And because I introduced him, and I was the one that he could tell that I really wanted him to do it. I was eager. I was excited. I didn't push him too hard, but he kind of shied away from it. The second I completely stepped away and acted like I didn't care, he gravitated towards it.
Dude, I haven't encouraged my son to play at all. That was entirely his own conversation.
I used to have that thought process too, but I figure I'm going to introduce him to things. I'm not going to push him to go through with it, but it's also my job and responsibility to introduce him.
Meh. I feel like life will introduce him to things.
Yeah, dude, but look, if he I'm telling you, these kids, Adam is 7. These kids have been playing, dude, for years. So if he does get
here's my look. The one mistake I made growing up was I started weightlifting too late.
Yeah.
I took everything else more seriously than like the fundamental like building of the foundation that was my body.
Right.
I look at it as they're in the phase they're just going to figure themselves out. When it comes time to introduce them to something, and I'm going to be like super eager about, believe it or not, it's not going to be basketball. I don't care what sport he plays or what he wants to do.
Right.
But weight training will be a huge part of our conversation.
Yeah, that's true. That was something that wasn't talked about enough for us.
Yeah, it wasn't generally accepted. Back then it was, hey, man, have you ran today? Have you gone for a run?
Dude, I know. Yeah.
You look a little porky there, Chief. Have you gone for a run?
A little porky?
Yeah, you want to go you want to go for a power walk?
I feel like that was a quote. Somebody called you porky?
I am porky. I got on this. Bro, I've been intermittent fasting, dude. It's not because I wanted to. It started off because I'm pretty sure I've got irritable bowel syndrome or some shit, right?
Okay.
It got so bad one day I was like, fuck it, I'm just not going to eat.
Right.
And that wound up going like 20 hours.
Yeah.
Then I ate some food, and I was okay for a little bit, and then all of it started happening again, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just not going to eat.
Right.
16 hours. Next day, eat some food. I'm a little more like stable at this point, but I'm exhausted. I'm like, all right, I'm just not going to eat food. I'm not going to eat dinner. Want to be another 16-hour fast.
Right.
Today, another like 18 hours, right?
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? Let me get the scale. It's been like 5 days of this.
Oh, shit.
You know? Let's see how much weight I've lost.
Okay.
I've had to lose some weight.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror before I get on the scale where you take your shirt off, but you exactly, examine your body.
Yeah. Like, yeah, for sure.
And I didn't pass the belly button test. I'm still knuckle deep,
Knuckle
right?
deep.
So, like, not a good situation. I'm looking in the mirror going like, okay, I know that you can be arrogant when you look at yourself sometimes and you don't see all the things you see, but I see a whole lot of fatness.
Yeah.
I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Got on the scale. I'm like, motherfucker, you went up.
Well, that's just
Not-
water. That's just water retention, bro. Come on.
Water. I'm on creatine.
Yeah, there you go.
I've been working out.
Water retention.
It's not water retention, dude.
No.
I haven't had anything to eat
I'm trying
for almost 5 days. I've had like 5 meals. It's not like I've been like shoving in like all my macros in between. Like I just have not been eating.
I'm trying to give you rainbows, gumdrops, and lollipops. Right
No,
now. You don't want to
no,
take
I was so deflated this morning, like literally deflated. I was like downstairs. The wife came downstairs before our son got up. She's like, "You okay?" I'm in the bathroom, my head in my hand.
Yeah.
So you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
So your stomach upset? I said, no, it's big.
It's. I know. I wish.
Intermittent fasting has not worked for me, just for the record.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I used to be a fan. I used to really, really enjoy it. But I found myself getting to the point where I got really comfortable just not eating. And then I could go literally all day and only eat one meal.
Yeah, I'm
And
at that
then-
point now.
And then you look at, the stories about what, metabolic damage it could do. I mean,
Yeah, a buddy of mine who fasts a lot was like, look, dude, you just got to eat like normal on the weekends with the family. And then
Mhm.
just get back to fasting 5 days a week, and it stops your body from adjusting too much. But
Mm.
I'm going to call him back tomorrow and be like, you know what? Tried it. Fuck you.
didn't work.
Didn't work. I gained
Yeah,
weight.
Asshole.
He's going to tell me how that's not possible and this and that. And I'm gonna be like, you can say what you want. The scale says you're an asshole.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
say it. He
yeah,
said
I didn't
that.
say it.
Scale said it.
So let's talk about our latest review from a man with an immaculately special name.
Timmy Rod.
Timmy Rod. Not to be confused with Timmy Ram.
Yeah, definitely not.
If his name was Ram, you couldn't trust him.
Couldn't.
Title of the review, great podcast. We agree, Timmy.
Mm-hmm.
Recently found this pod on Mind Pump, another great pod. Also agree with that.
Also agree with it.
This one is full of information that's easy to digest.
Digestible.
Clearly, you don't need the intermittent fast like I do. Yeah. And witty banner is definitely a plus. So fun. Love it. Well, we love that you get us because not everybody does. Some people are like, oh, my God, the show would be amazing if you just stop making jokes all the time.
If it was just 80-20.
Yeah, 80% serious and 20% whatever this nonsense is that you guys do, these jokes, these sarcasm
I think you're
attempts.
so funny.
You're not funny.
No.
You're not Conan O'Brien, Saied.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Come on, man.
All time. Eddie Murphy?
Hey, yeah, stop.
Really?
If your answer is not Eddie Murphy, there's a question.
I saw a recent interview of his where he's just like, listen, Kevin Hart, and they're boys.
Yeah.
Like, you think you got the records, bitch. Eddie Murphy Raw is still the number one thing, and I haven't been around for however many years, like 17 years or whatever, 27 years.
Yeah, man. There was a whole thing like he was going to have a comeback tour, and then COVID hit.
Yeah. I know he actually made an appearance on SNL.
Yeah. Have you heard have you heard him talk about why he doesn't do it anymore?
No. I think he's going to try to make a comeback, though.
His comment was like, I've done it all.
Really?
He's like, I've done it all. And like at some point in time, like the traveling starts wearing on you, and he's like, you just want to be at home with your family.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And it was
That's
like,
a lot.
it was so like compelling when he said it. I was like, yeah,
It was obviously different.
I get it.
You can't expect the guy to be in that stage of his life for the rest of his life. I mean, if he wants to do it, he's got to want to come back and like prove something.
I'm stunned that someone that, I mean, he saw the pinnacle of fame.
Mhm.
The rumor was that he signed like an undisclosed like massive deal with Disney. That's why he did all those weird, corny Disney movies.
Oh, they were so corny.
Is that he did all those Disney movies not because he wanted to end his career, but because he signed this massive like lifetime deal with Disney. And when he signed it, he did all these movies and he was obligated to do them, so he did them.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Dolittle and stuff like that. I mean, all that weird stuff.
What's your favorite Eddie Murphy movie?
Trading Places.
That easy, huh?
I've seen it a lot.
Really?
Well, yeah, Trading Places is a good one.
For me, it's Life.
Yeah, Life was later on. I felt like he was coming down off the top.
Yeah.
I know you like to quote that a lot.
Like to.
Because I'm a nasty motherfucker, Ray. Yeah.
Why you gotta say nasty shit, right?
Yeah, no, but no, I think Yeah, Trading Places, man.
That's a good one.
That was a highlight for me growing up, man. Just want to be just like him.
Everyone did, man. He was all around stud.
And now I'm in banking. Plus, those same guys, the 2 older rich white dudes from the show,
Yeah.
showed up in like many other movies over time,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was kind of a cool throwback to all those other movies.
Right.
All right, well, let's say goodnight because Daddy got to get up early tomorrow to go to work.
Let's do it. Good night, everybody.
Bye.